Okay, so we're just going to go over a basic handlebar install. I'm not going to go through all the details of the nitty-gritty of doing it, but I just want to kind of give you an idea in terms of process. I took off stock bars for the Sportster, and all the cabling, the clutch cable, the throttle cable, the brake line, all of it together is all stock, and I put on 8-inch bars. Now, that configuration may or may not work for you. You may have to change your cables, I'm not sure. But these are Z-bar, Keystone bar, whatever you want to call them. And I was able to use, there was enough cabling length stock that I was able to use the original equipment, didn't have to buy any new. Process is here, you've got a couple of bolts here, T27s and T25 Torx. You gotta take them off. This whole piece will slip out. Sometimes the handlebar, the grip here is glued on and you gotta rip that off. So what I would do is I would loosen all this, get this stuff off first. I'd move over here, I would take the throttle off, keep all of this intact. This whole thing, once this is off and you unscrew it from the, once you unscrew these bolts here and you take this clamp off, you'll be able to slide out the handlebar from these grips. You can keep this whole thing pretty much intact, and the cabling will stay up and intact as well, unless you want to change grips. But even so, it's a good process to do that. And that should work. Again, these are 8-inch, depending on how your bars are configured. Maybe if you want 10, I think you need new cables, but sometimes you get the burly bars that kind of roll over. There may be enough cabling for you, but that's a process that I would follow.
3.
Okay, one last quick thing, your brake line. You probably will have enough brake line in there. It usually clips into this point right here and it makes like a little turn like an S. If you unclip that, you generally get a little bit extra length right here. And this is like a copper tubing of your brake line. You can bend this a little bit. It's a very soft tubing. You can bend it with your hands and you can get a little bit extra stretch in there to give you a little bit extra length to avoid having to replace your brake line. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to change out the handlebars on this Sportster, kind of give it more of an updated sort of cool look. These are Todd Cycle 1-inch stripper bars. Hey, I didn't name them, got to deal with it. It's a pretty cool looking bar. It's about an 8-inch bar, a little bit of a Z-bar look, but probably a little bit more of a riding comfort type of a bar. But we're going to try to get these on. Okay, these are the bars that are on the Sportster. These are the original stock bars. These style bars have been on Sportsters forever. This is what I'm going to change out with the Todd Cycle 8-inch stripper bars. Now, the new bars are pre-drilled for internal wiring, and one of the things with Sportsters is that they are pretty basic. A lot of the wiring is external, so I might have to do some cutting and splicing or just buy new wiring that's a little bit longer to get it to feed in through the new bars. And the new brake line, well, the brake line here and, throttle and cables and, clutch cables. I'm hoping I don't have to buy new ones. Maybe I can get away with the existing length, but if not, then I'm going to have to redo all the cables and brake line. Okay, got the handlebars on. These are, again, 8-inch mini ape Todd's Cycle stripper bars. And the good news is that I didn't have to get a new brake line. There was enough playing the brake line. Same thing with the throttle cables, plenty there. We'll probably have to get a slightly longer clutch cable. But I want to highlight one thing. Inside the headlight of many Sportsters, especially the older ones, you have the electronics here. And these are called Deutsche connectors. I went internal wiring into the handlebars, for the, turn control, signal controls, starter, all these various things. And what Harley did, because they make longer bikes normally, but they all come off the same assembly line, there's extra wiring in many cases, especially for the older Sportsters, that they just shoved into the housing of your headlight. Now, what that gives you is the ability to add longer bars. So 8 inches, probably even up to 10 inches, I would say, on your Sportster. Now the Moco isn't doing you any favors. It's just that when they make their bikes on an assembly line, that most of them come with this standard length of cabling, and they're just not going to change it for one line. The Sportster, it's just less efficient for them to do that. Well, I can go over here. This is a Deutsche connector. You've got to take it apart, disassemble it, take the top cap off. There's a couple of pins inside there. which I just showed you, which you can release as a little lever. You can watch a YouTube video on that. And then you just write down, what side, which wires went into which hole. And that's going to save you a lot of money, because effectively you don't have to go and buy new electric, wires, which can be quite expensive. And the Sportsters, they give you enough, generally speaking, especially for the older ones, to probably put at least 8-inch bars on your bike. Okay, here she is all assembled. Cabling worked out fine. I did lubricate the cables. Always a good idea to do that when you get a used bike. Make sure that everything's nice and slippery and smooth, and now the hand levers feel like butter. I put some shorty levers on. It just kind of fits the profile of the handlebars pretty nicely, and unless you have gorilla hands and sausage fingers, you should be fine using those, and they feel pretty good on the hand. Also put some Arlen Ness Rad 2 mirrors on, a little bit more of a lower profile, sleeker look. I think it fits the style of the bike and the handlebars all together pretty nicely. So yeah, overall pretty happy with the way it came out.